Jazz is his forte. So you have in your program this morning, the second page. It's called the Inner Healing Experience. Well, it's too dark to see it now, but anyway, it's in there. You don't have to follow along, but this is what we've been working through this month, and we wrap it up today, and then Wednesday night, and then next Sunday, our series. Okay, just better. Well, that'll be interesting. This reminds me why we're doing this is we now have a YouTube channel. Whoa! Creative Life Spiritual Center has a YouTube channel, and I'm on it. A bunch of people are on it. The soul session with Cleo and some of the other soul sessions going back a ways. That's a kind of a dialogue that takes place from time to time on Wednesday nights. Troy McConnell's on there doing What Color Am I? An amazing song that he sang before the Supreme Court, I think it was. Anyhow, I'm buying time here well. Jeffrey, our cameraman, sets us back up.
Trying.
Let me take this moment also. I mean, I don't want to just shoehorn this in here. Jack Bechtell's memorial service was held on Tuesday at First Christian Church of Conroe, and that's a terrific congregation, and we have a lot in common with them. I didn't really know of them except for their pumpkin patch. They have a big pumpkin patch that they're noted for in the Conroe area, and I got to meet the lead minister, and we had a great talk. And he says in his talk, his message, it was short because most of the service was video, more on that in a minute. Anyway, he says, so God or higher power or spirit or whatever you choose to call it. And I thought, I'm in the right place. You know? They had pictures. They were married for 64 years. They had photographs that had been assembled for their 50th anniversary. So it didn't include the last 14 years. They had photographs from every year of those 50 years they were together, places they went and so on. And so to see, they met in high school. And so to see these two people grow up together and mature, and here they are in a gondola in Venice, and here they are in front of Mount Rushmore, and here they are, and here they are. And then his son got up and spoke, and he reminds you an awful lot of Jack. So please keep Lenore in your thoughts and prayers. And I also understand, I heard yesterday that Paul Klein passed, and he was a member of this center some years ago, and a practitioner with us for a while, and a musician, and so much love to him and his. And are we ready?
Yep.
Okay.
You're good.
Well, we come to the end of this series, wherein we consider the one special idea. You remember that? You just said it, you had your hand on your chest. The one special idea that I now center upon. We led up to this last week with the forgiveness that we did. The forgiveness, the need for forgiveness can get in the way of the one special idea. So we looked at forgiveness, and we looked at, when somebody came up afterward and they said, now, what about forgetting? Do I forget? No, you don't forget. But what you do is you take the heat out from under it. From under the condition or the circumstance or the relationship that went sideways. You take the heat out from under that, where it's no longer a guiding principle in your life. And that's really how you forgive. Or as one person said, it's giving others safe passage through your mind. Where people cross your mind and you're no longer attacking them, and you're just letting them go. You're just letting them go on by. You no longer have any attachment to it. You haven't forgotten, but you've let it go. With that comes replacing that with something else. You know, forgiveness is not a static state. Nothing is. You want to change something in your life. So much is about getting rid of the problem. If only we could get rid of the problem. If you get rid of the problem and you don't hurry up and put something where the problem used to be, the problem's going to come back and bring friends. You got to put something where the problem was. This is a teaching of positive substitution, this metaphysics that we do here. It's not about denying conditions. It's not about sticking our head in the sand. It's about, where is our power? Where is our power? Who is our power? There is one power that works on the energy of thought coupled with feeling. Thought plus feeling equals belief. Thought by itself won't get it done. Feeling by itself won't get it done. But put the two together and you've got a powerhouse of energy. Put thought and feeling together and it equals belief. And it's belief that can move mountains. I can't think a mountain away. I can't feel a mountain away. I can't stand there and weep at the mountain and hope the mountain will feel sorry for me and move away. But in belief, the union of thought and feeling, I can strategize a plan for effectively not having the mountain in my life. We've been over this terrain before, but to say you're going to remove the mountain doesn't necessarily mean you bring in excavation equipment. You remove the mountain as an impediment, which means it may be a tunnel under the mountain, or it may be a helicopter over the mountain, or maybe a highway around the mountain. Or maybe you change your mind and you don't have to go in the direction of the mountain at all to find what it is you think you need, because it's not over the next mountain, but it's back here in this other direction. In any event, the mountain as an impediment to your good has been removed. This is what happens when you unite thought with feeling around one special idea. Now let's talk about the one special idea. What is that one special idea? I don't know, but you do. You know what your one special idea is, and it terrifies you. There's a current spiritual writer who's written an awful lot about this, and it goes to the point that you know what this thing is, and it scares the dickens out of you, because it's pushing all the chips out there on the table. If I could do this, if I could do this, and we hold back from it, and we kind of nibble away at the edges of it, or what have you, or substitute stuff in the midst of it. Like, you know, if I sat down this afternoon and wrote this great book, I could change the face of history. But now I've got this list of 50 other things I should be doing instead, including painting the attic, rearranging my sock drawer, you know? All this other stuff substitutes itself, because if I sat down to actually do this thing, then I would have to confront with certainty and inevitability whether I'm up to it, whether I have what it takes. I would submit this for judgment in the world. People say, I'd love to sing, I'd love to dance, or I'd love to act, or whatever, but if they did, there could be a critic, there could be a review. And so we pulled back from that. So I never got a break, I never got a chance. I could have been a contender. You know, I could have done great things, but because we're scared. Now, this is not to make us wrong and just heap abuse on us for being scared, but just call it what it is. There is fear there about letting ourselves just shine in this life, because we think, what if we fail? Well, then logically, let's go there and realize that everyone who's accomplished anything great in this life has failed multiple times on the way to doing that. You've seen the statistics. You know, the Little League World Series is on right now. Did you know that the team from Louisiana is in the final for the first time ever today at 2 o'clock? Baseball players who hit 300 get massive contracts. 300 means 3 times out of 10 you were successful. Or you can go with the on-base percentage, which is you walked a few times too. But for the most part, it's about a third of the time you actually get there. Anywhere else you think that's terrible. In school, what if you answered a third of the questions correctly? You passed a third of your classes, you know? The world would judge you as a terrible failure, but that in this environment, a third of the, well, frankly, we probably fail a lot more than 2/3 of the time at what we're doing. We're unsuccessful at some particular narrow aspect of the outcome. But we keep at it. You've heard of Edison with the light bulb, and you've heard of writers who've submitted a manuscript countless times, like, well, J.K. Rowling comes to mind. Who's interested in a book about a child wizard? Go see someone. There's not a future in that. I've got my thumb on the publishing world. Somebody said there's not a future in that, so go peddle it somewhere else. So she did, didn't she? You can go to her theme park now. You So, musicians, artists, often we look at the creative side of things here because we are what? Creative life. So we have a lot of artists and we have a lot of musicians. And I didn't realize, because she's a very modest person, but Lenore, whose Jack passed, whose service a number of us attended on Tuesday, is an author. She's got, I think, 6 books out. This got mentioned in real random passing in the service, and so I went home and went to Amazon, and there they are. I'm not a big fan of Amazon, but I went to Amazon, and there they are. And one of them's about Mardi Gras in Mobile, because they lived in Alabama briefly, and it's a mystery. So she wrote a mystery story about that. Who knew? And I thought, how cool that she gravitated to creative life, because musicians, artists, jugglers and acrobats and all do come to creative life. There are a number of things, but leave us not just focus on that. You might say, well, I don't have a creative bone in my body. I've had people say that. That is such nonsense, because everything you do is creative. But maybe it's about business, that your success in that direction lies. It's about industry of some kind. Or it's about wellness, or it's about love, or it's about, of course, all of these, not just one. But we are talking about one special idea. Why does it say one special idea? Take them one at a time, because otherwise you distract yourself. I now center on the 20 special ideas that I have for myself. Well, it's overwhelming, and so they kind of fall off. So take them one at a time, at least for now, till you get the hang of it. And you choose the next thought up. And you go with it, and you get excited about it. And the key to the metaphysical aspect of this is to get more excited about the remedy than you were ever afraid of the disease. You get more excited about what you wish to have happen than you were ever in despair about what was happening. That's the key, and this thing works. Okay, here's an example. I was going to save this. It's a little abstruse for our children, but I was going to save it for the rites of passage we have coming up on the 17th, on the 15th to talk to the kids about. But better you should hear it. Maybe I'll boil it down a little for them. There was this thing online on my feed on the computer. Here's stuff you might be interested in. And I don't know where they get the idea I would be interested in this. Like the favorite cookie in all 50 states. Maybe I do know where. But they had this advice for parents. 50 slides went by. These are the 50 things you should not say to your children. So I thought, this could be useful, this could be educational. And I started going through these. You don't have to live doing it on the internet. Old habits die hard. So I'm going across, and a lot of these you would agree with, and I would agree with, and frankly, any right-thinking person would. You don't tell your child they're stupid. You don't tell your child they're fat. You don't tell your child they're never going to amount to anything. You don't shame them, and you don't make them wrong. And so I'm nodding them. And then I came to one and I kind of whoa, and I hung up on it. It was this. It says, don't tell your children that they can accomplish anything they want in life, because you're just setting them up for disappointment. And I thought, well, now what's the rationale for that? Well, some psychologist weighed in, and I read about his work. And what he has to say is this. He says, a child can be intelligent, a child can be highly educated and grow up, but they're always going to encounter the factor of luck. In getting the right job, getting the right career, having everything work out, it's a matter of luck. And I thought, what you need, psychologist, is a science mind class. Why don't you come take heart for a living? And it'll begin to melt away this idea of the random margin of life and replace luck with principle. Because there is a spiritual principle at work that has nothing to do with luck. What looks like luck is synchronicity. What looks like luck is happy coincidence. The meeting of people who cross paths with one another in a mysterious sort of way. And it changes everything. I told this story, we're doing an Emerson class on Wednesdays, and I told this story from kind of back in the day, because we were talking about Emerson and some of his contemporaries, the people he knew, and he knew everybody. He knew it's impossible to overstate what a rock star this guy was in his own life. When he passed, the man who created the Lincoln Memorial made his burial shroud. When he went on vacation to Europe twice, when he came back to Concord, the very fact that he had come back to town, they closed the schools and held a parade. Can you imagine that? All he'd done was come home from vacation. Can you see this in your own neighborhood? You're back. We'll close the schools and have a parade. And he knew all the great writers of the time, and the poets, the romantic poets, and the transcendentalists. I told this little story, which you might have heard, and it's about how synchronicities occur. People of high destiny, self-chosen destiny, encounter each other and go on to do great things. So there was a parade in the early years of the 19th century. There was a 4th of July parade in New York City down Fifth Avenue or something, way back when the city was a lot different and life was different and the country was new. And here come great horse-drawn things and bands and stuff. And on a charger near the head of the parade, guest of honor, one of the most honored people really in American history who was not an American citizen, the Marquis de Lafayette, Washington's close personal friend, hero of the Revolutionary War, riding on this giant horse. And lining the streets are families with children to see the parade. And this man reaches down, and there's this little boy. And he reaches down and scoops up this little boy, puts him on the saddle in front of him. And the little boy, of course, out of his mind, this is the coolest thing ever, and rides him a block and a half or so down the street and then sets the boy back down, and he runs back to his family. And he didn't know who that was. A random kid he plucked off the street, and it was just sort of a gesture. The little boy would grow up to be Walt Whitman. How does this happen? That somebody, a fuse is lit, a torch is passed. Because there was something in the choice field. This little kid, before he even got here, just like there is with you. One of the great myths of life, or falsehoods of life, is that you make it up here entirely. We bring a lot with us. Where were we before we got here? We came here with something of a plan. And there are some people that we call prodigies who do these things where they come into this life and they, like a Mozart, 8 years old, they're sitting at the kitchen table composing a symphony. How do they do that? But even if you're not that person, even if that's not the path you've walked, there's a continuity here. And it's causing you to cross paths with people, conditions, and circumstances that are salutary to you being the most successful you possibly can be. And by successful, I mean a feeling of success, because that's what it all is. And this is the whole other point that we'll get into more next month, but it's all about experience. It's all about experience. How you know anything is experience, the experience of the divine. Lisa Ryan, who's teaching our teens today, put a meme on, she's our social media manager. She's responsible largely for that YouTube channel and also our Facebook postings. And we have an Instagram account, and I don't know what all we have going on, but she finds these memes that are super, and she puts them up on the Facebook page. And one of them is a series of quotes from Carl Jung. You like Carl Jung? We're going to have a series on him coming up soon. It'll take months because the guy's amazing. But he's got this passage that he put in there about religion. Religion, back on Emerson, his godson was William James. He grew up to be the founder of psychology in America, really. But Jung, he says, a religion that's based on salvation generates a feeling of fear and trembling, while a religion that's based on wonder generates a feeling of gratitude. Welcome to a religion based on wonder in this room. Religion based on wonder. It's all about the experience. It's all about, am I willing to feel as loved as I am by the power that fashioned me from within itself and placed me here in the company of all these other amazing godlings, which it likewise fashioned from within itself for the purpose of mutual joy. Am I willing? That's the money question. Am I willing to feel this way right now? This is that one special idea. When you realize an idea is not simply a fleeting thought, but it's a package of energy, thought and feeling. Am I willing to have the discipline to focus on this one special knowing of being at home in the universe so that everything else fades into a blur, and this one thing stands true for me, that I am a success inside my own life now. And if I'm willing to do that, if I'm willing to hold to that thought and that feeling, I will begin, sooner than later, to generate conditions and circumstances that bear it out. And I could be in the middle of nowhere and do this. I could be on a desert island somewhere and do this. And feel myself loved and appreciated and approved of, and I will manifest coming over the waves from somewhere or out of the sky or up from the ground some solid, significant thing that backs up my belief. And when you teach a child this, because there was another passage from Jung on there that says that children are impacted in the family more than anything else by the lives their parents have not lived. Man, I had to sit with that. The lives their parents have not lived. What that means is the thwarted ambitions, the despair, the giving up, the I used to be young, I used to have an opportunity, I used to have it all going on, and now here I am, comfortably numb. You know, these years have passed and all, and this impacts the child, the unlived life, this was Jung's whole thing, was to make the unconscious conscious, to make the darkness conscious. It's not about making the darkness light, it's about making the darkness conscious. That we're conscious of where we've hidden our energy, where we've stored our power over the years. Well, when you teach a child that you can access that, and that as you replace the margin of random possibilities with a dedicated spiritual principle, that spiritual principle will manifest itself sometimes within a random field, but a bracketed one. In other words, would it be all right with you to have a potential realm of circumstance if it existed between two poles of good? Like not just anything, but this field of anything. Like, I don't know, you go to a restaurant and they have different categories of food there. And you know what you like and you know what you don't like. And so you might say, if you trusted the place, you might say, well, just bring me something in that category. Because I know it'll be good because you people are really good at what you do. Well, how about trusting life to, like, I'm not going to have to nail down every detail and choose every human, that comes into my experience. But life, you take care of that for me, but within the parameters of here and here. Okay? This person, I don't know if you want to draw extremes all the way from somebody as my student to somebody as my teacher and everyone in between. Or somebody who's really serious and somebody who's really funny, Chris. In between, right? Somewhere in there. This or something better. This or something better. I'm willing to experience this. I'd like this job at this company, sitting at that desk, in that chair, that so-and-so just got boosted out of for something else, which is none of my business, but I want exactly that. You know, that's not trusting the universe. That's being clear. That's being direct. That's being fixated, but it's not trusting the process until you add or something better. Because maybe that person's not ready to get up from that chair and out from behind that desk. Maybe that's not the highest and best place for you if you could see the big picture of how all the energies swarm around this, the big picture that you can't see. Because no human can. Which brings us back to Emerson, who said, don't ask for the description of the countries toward which you sail. Tomorrow you arrive there and know them by inhabiting them. We always want to peek behind the curtain. How's this all going to work out? You don't know yet. Why? Because you're in the now. Because that'll be the next now. But you trust that it's all coming together. So that one special idea, what I want you to do this week, if you'll do it, not for me and not to report back, but for your own self, is that one special idea of how you would have it be, if you could have it be any way at all, at the level of feeling for yourself, at the level of feeling of inhabiting that, and I belong there. And oh yeah, one other point on this that we'll get into more next month is remember to shoot past just the threshold. By which I mean, sometimes people say, well, I'd love to get the new job, and what they picture is the interview. What they picture is that, well, it's been very nice meeting you, and I think we can do something. You gotta go past that until you've been there a while. Go past the first meeting where your eyes lock across the table and you decide this is the one that you want to be with for the rest of your life, and picture yourself 5 years in. Picture the business that you want to start 5 years in. Picture yourself where it's normal and natural and comfortable. And then you're like the baseball player who gets up there, and they might get a hit or they might not. They know they belong. You belong. So let's know together now there's one power, one presence, one infinite, ultimate something, limitless in its scope, limitless in its span, and right here, right now. And it's in every moment, not just this moment, this Sunday morning in this place where we've made a commitment to come and be and express our spirituality, but out there on the street. Tomorrow at work or school or whatever it is you're up to. It's right there. And it'll meet you when you get there. As our friend Rumi says, there is a field out beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing. I'll meet you there. So we meet in this field. And all time that has come before, as we humans measure it, has prepared us for this moment. And all experiences that we've gone through, all of that has prepared us for this moment, for this meeting, this transaction, this holy instant. And if there's something we need to learn that we don't already know, it's about to cross our field of vision. And if there's some talent or ability to foster within ourselves, well, we're drawn to it now. Find our hands seeking it out. If there's some blessing we are to bestow on the world that must, for some unknown reason, come through us, we find ourselves speaking it, portraying it. So we are in the right place at the right time, doing the right work, feeling loving, feeling loved, free, fearless,
and its manifestation in form everywhere we turn. I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into the infinite, calling it done.